love this woman who I have not seen in so long. She's been busy, she was here, but we loved her stories. They were just terrific. I'm so happy Elizabeth is back, and I'm hoping she's going to be more regular because she is sensational. Wait till she comes up and you'll go, yes, sensational. Miss Elizabeth Kuyper.
In honor of Veterans Day, which is tomorrow, and most of you should know that. Freedom is not free, or how typing saved my dad's life. A few years ago, on a family trip to Washington, D.C., as my parents and I stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, absorbing its impact, my mother whipped her head around to me and blurted out, "You should join the Army." My father and I looked at her, making sure we had heard correctly, that it was not a joke, and then I asked, "Why?" "Because you learn how to get along with people." "Your father was in the Army, and he gets along with everybody." I sometimes forget that my father served in the military. Every so often, when I'm typing rapidly away at my keyboard, or someone comments on my fast typing skills, do I remember. In my senior year of high school, the days prior to common computer keyboard usage, mind you, and that's all I'll say about that, my parents and I were discussing which elective classes I should take. My father suggested typing. I made my shock and repugnance well known, saying my thoughts aloud, "What could be more boring and useless than a typing class?" He patiently ignored my histrionics, calmly explaining that it was a very practical skill to have, and that it just might come in handy in the future. I couldn't see it. I was going to be rich and famous. How could typing possibly come in handy for me? I continued with my haughty and obtuse protest until he looked at me with a very straight face and said, "Just so you know, typing saved my life." Right, Dad. Who's the dramatic one now? But I was intrigued enough to listen. When my father enlisted, he completed his boot camp and worked at the U.S. Army's regional headquarters at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, but was eventually shipped overseas to Japan, where it seemed inevitable his next destination would be Korea. As it turned out, my father was the only one in his unit who could type. He was kept at the base in Japan, where he stayed for the remainder of his service, while the rest of the unit went off to fight in Korea. He never saw or heard from any of them again. At the end of his term of service, his major said to him, "Promise me, if you're not going to re-enlist, when you get back home, go to law school." And that's what he did. He became one of the good lawyers, serving as the county counsel of Orange County for 35 years. I never understood what lawyer jokes were about until I served jury duty, because I didn't know why anyone would be so bitter about what my dad did. When we went to Washington, D.C., like most tourists, we spent a day walking along the National Mall to see the monuments and memorials, from Washington to Lincoln to Jefferson, to the very long line that passes in front of the Vietnam Memorial Wall, which is quiet and beautiful and extremely moving. It was only by double-checking our map and asking one of the volunteer veterans who stand near the monuments and offer information did we find out about the Korean War Memorial, which is on the opposite side of the mall. It is sometimes referred to as the lesser-known War Memorial, strangely and sadly fitting, as it pays tribute to those who served in what is commonly known as the Forgotten War. We were mistakenly expecting something similar to the Vietnam Memorial, a long wall etched with names. Similar in many ways, but for me personally, an immensely different experience. The Korean Memorial covers over 2 acres, forming a triangle that intersects a circle that contains the Pool of Remembrance at the apex. The pool honors the lives of the 54,269 American casualties of the conflict. At the opposite end, 19 very imposing stainless steel soldiers emerge from the real trees as if they are on an eternal patrol. They stand over 7 feet tall and vary in their expressive faces and body language. They are posed walking amongst juniper bushes and granite strips, representing the rice paddies and the rough terrain they faced. A 164 long wall of polished black granite runs along the south end of the memorial. It is etched with 2,500 photographic images depicting soldiers, equipment, and the people who were involved in the war. The 19 statues of the soldiers, when reflected on the wall, appear to be 38, representing the 38th parallel. The wall ends at the center of the pool of remembrance with the words, "Freedom is not free." A nearby plaque is inscribed, "Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and a people they never met." I don't know how much time we spent there, but I don't remember breathing much. As my dad perused the wall, I watched his face. A volunteer veteran walked up to him and said, "Did you serve?" My dad could not vocalize his answer, but nodded his head. The veteran gently put his hand on my father's back. After a few moments of silence, the veteran then told us, "Last week there was a family here, and the father was looking at this wall and saw the face of one of his old buddies looking right back at him." I took the typing class. Thank you.
Elizabeth Kuyper. Thank you.